Hi, everybody, and welcome back to a new episode. Today, we're talking to Michelle Rojas, who is a current student abroad in Milan, Italy. She's a business and psychology major, and we're going to hear about her time abroad. Hi, Michelle. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. So, just to get into it, you're in Milan right now. What is that like? Because I know you are, you're a bit more involved academically than some people are when they study abroad. So, what is your schedule like?
Sure. So, my schedule is mainly packed from Monday through Thursday. Fridays, I have no class, which is similar to my Rochester education experience. My schedule consists of two graduate marketing courses at Bocconi, a psychology and vocal performance class at the IES Center. I'm also taking a acting workshop at Bocconi University. I was gonna take a choral workshop there too, but it was just too much. So
Yeah.
I decided to just stick with acting.
What's your major again?
It's business marketing and psychology.
So is the acting class something you just did like for yourself?
Yeah, I have an interest in acting. Last semester at Rochester, I also took an intro acting course. So I wanted to continue that. I actually recently found out that I really enjoy acting and all that it has. So it's something I want to explore more.
So with this packed schedule, do you have time to travel to other places or even within Italy? Any trips that you've taken?
Yeah, so my first trip while abroad was to Venice. It was a weekend trip with some friends I made at the IES Center. It was like such a beautiful experience. Their taxis are like boats or so they don't really have cars there, obviously. And I did not do much research about Venice, so I didn't know what to expect, but it was a whole nother world over there. The water was so crystal blue. It was actually carnival season, so there were people dressed up in really beautiful like garments and outfits. It was actually raining. Either way, it was the most beautiful experience I had. Like I just wonder, I had a good time while it was raining, so if it was sunny, I don't even know what type of experience I would get. Yeah.
Is there anything like specific you did in Venice, or was it more relaxed? Because everyone says like, "Oh, I've been to Venice, I've been to Venice." Did you do like a lot of the boat rides, or was it more just like watching this carnival stuff happen? What'd you kind of do?
I did go on a boat ride and we walked around the city. There were a lot of unique shops selling like glass paintings, cute leather purses, very like interesting jewelry. There were like a lot of tourist Venice merchandise. Also, the streets were very thin. So there were a lot of people. Unfortunately, since it was raining, there weren't many people like doing performances for the carnival. We did see the outfits and that was so like cool.
Is there anything in your daily routine that you do differently than how it is in the US? Milan's kind of like your home base now. It's kind of like, hopefully, it's like your little new ordinary. But so in your daily routine, is there anything that's something totally different than what you usually do in the US?
Yeah, while I was taking classes at U of R, I usually just walked to my classes, or sometimes I would take the shuttle to the Eastman School of Music. But here, I take public transportation everywhere I go to my classes, to eat out. It takes 30 minutes to get to the IES Center and another 30 minutes to get to Bocconi University. I've been taking the metro, the tram, and the high speed like train to other places in Italy, like Venice.
How is the public transportation? Was it easy to figure out? Were you like, did someone have to teach you? Were you super nervous?
At the beginning of the program, we had orientation, and through orientation, some of I guess, the program coordinators, they were showing us how to use the transportation system. So I'm really glad that I was able to learn from someone like live.
And is it financially not that, is it like not that expensive, or is it a little costly?
It costs 22 euros a month. for to
Oh, okay.
navigate. It's pretty good, like, to get to use the tram, any metro station, except when you wanna go, like, maybe an hour and a half away, something like that.
Okay, and then it's just like a separate fee that you have to pay?
Yeah.
What has been the highs and lows of your study abroad experience? So what is something that was like, this is the best thing that's ever happened, and something that's, shows that study abroad isn't all, it's not all fair. It's not like a fantasy, you've pros and cons.
Sure. So I would say my high moment was attending my acting workshop. For me, acting is it's like the opposite of what my expectations were. I thought it would be more like high pressure on the spot, but it's actually very relaxing, and it's a way where I'm able to just like calm down and feel the moment. It's kind of like meditation, at least for me. So I'm really glad that they had that workshop at Bocconi University, and there are many students taking it.
For your acting class and one of the layout of the workshop.
Usually, people come in and they take off their shoes, and we get in a circle. I think well, at least for the first sessions, we would greet each other, talk about maybe like a high of the week, and then we would do random activities like walk around the room with our eyes closed, trying not to bump into someone, or laying on our stomach, trying to feel our breath. I think it's this way because in order for someone to express emotions they don't express on a daily day basis, like for example, maybe like anger or sadness, it's important for the person, for an actor to feel comfortable in the environment. So I think these workshops help us feel comfortable with the people in the workshop. Yeah, mainly that.
That sounds awesome. What about when your lower moment, something that wasn't that great that happened?
I went to my first party. It was at my residential building, and there was unfortunately this guy who would not like respect my boundary or would just not leave me alone. So I made it like I said it directly that I just wanted them to leave me, but unfortunately they wouldn't leave me. They would kind of follow me, and I was trying to get help from another person in the party, but all of the people invited in the party were students, and I was asking this person in English if they could tell the other student to leave me alone. But unfortunately, the student that I asked didn't understand English. And after like three attempts of asking him something in English, like I just decided to leave the party because I think that was like the best approach. But this would be a piece of advice. Like, it's very important to know those important phrases of like, hey, like, can you help me in the language of the country that you're in?
Definitely. I feel like for safety reasons, it's always best to know, I'm uncomfortable. I need help, XYZ. Was there anything you kind of did after that incident? Is there anything you do that now that you're probably a little more cautious?
I guess I just have to remind myself that just because I was very aware of my surroundings when I was in public, like using transportation system, because unfortunately there is pickpocketing in Milan, but mainly that. So like my awareness was heightened in these public settings, but since this was a student led party, and it was like in my residential dorm. I guess my guard was a bit down, but it's just important to always be aware of your surroundings and yeah.
I'm so sorry that happened to you. That's like awful. It's like a hard thing to move on, like just to move on from. But
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I think then like any place you go, sometimes we will encounter these instances, but I'm really thankful that IES has people in place that can provide you like either like counseling or just like safety support. They have an emergency hotline. So the IES program is a program where I can rely on if I need any help or if I don't really know how to encounter a situation. So, like, I'm a good, strong advocate of this program.
that's good that the structure of the program is, designed to help students. Is there
Mhm.
anything in Milan or any other trip that you took It could really be anywhere that you experienced a culture in a different way. It doesn't have to be through people, but just like, you appreciated the culture in a different sense. Is there anything you did in that type of way?
Oh, they do have aperitivo, which is a small meal before you get dinner. And they actually get dinner pretty late, maybe around like 8 p.m. But I really enjoyed the large food selection that they have. Also, most restaurants are closed in the middle of the day, which allows like their workers to rest. I would say that Italy is a place where workers are able to like have a rest time, unlike the US, because in the US like your break time is very limited, and even vacation times, like it's pretty hard to ask for maybe like a full week vacation, but here it's pretty standard normalized.
Does that affect, kind of when you go out to shop or you go out to eat, does that affect kind of how you feel in a setting like that? Because I've heard this a lot with people who travel to Europe, but they're like, whenever I go to the mall or to a shop, the customer service is different because in the US it's super, they're always trying to sell you stuff. It's always super, super friendly. Is it a bit different in Europe? Do you prefer it that way? Or, is that something you maybe miss about the US?
Oh yeah. So during orientation, the orientation leaders were mentioning that in the US, like customer service is really like friendly, and they really want that positive review. But in Europe, it's a bit more laid back, and they're just like literally just like doing their job. And you shouldn't really take this personal because it's just the culture. So I think I remember that there were some instances where maybe I took something personal, like, "Oh, like, do they not like me?" Or, like, "Did I do something?" But it's just the culture.
Can you, like, explain an interaction? Like, when you walk in, is it just, like, did you take it personal because maybe they didn't greet you? Was it just that it really is super low key?
Yeah, like, usually when you walk inside a US store, like, they're like, "Hey, like, how are you doing?" Or just, like, always with a smile on their face, but here, like, they're more I guess they're more serious. That's just the way it is.
Okay, so one of the last questions I wanted to ask is, what is you can either take it as, like, a really cool like, moment you had during your study abroad that you wanna share, or any advice you have for someone who's maybe thinking of studying abroad in Italy or in Europe.
For some advice, I would say make the study abroad opportunity the way you want it to be. I know some people emphasize like going on vacation or trips in Europe every single weekend, but every person is different, and like some people may just want to just focus more on the like academics here, or learning or staying in the city that they're in. So make sure that this experience is what you want it to be. Don't feel pressured to follow what's glamorized on social media, like going on weekends trips all the time. That would be my advice.
You are more academically involved while you are studying abroad. How does that affect, your weekend? Like you're saying, you don't really go to trips every weekend, but you did go to Venice and stuff. So how do you balance that if you do want to focus on your academics while you're abroad?
I've been trying to navigate that while here. I would say, thankfully, my two graduate business courses, the grades for both courses are just composed of a final and a project. So, compared to Rochester, a class's grade will be composed of like multiple projects, homework assignments, and midterm tests. So even though I'm taking a lot of classes, the workload isn't that demanding here, at least for me.
Yeah, you can kind of manage your own time, it sounds like.
Yeah. I guess in the beginning I was struggling a bit with that, but always like I always try to prioritize academics, and trips will come later.
Well, I thank you so much for talking with us. I hope you have a great time. It sounds like your classes are super, super interesting.
Thank you so much. I hope you have a great day too.
You too.
All right,
Bye.
bye.